today. Times gone by, I've traded black dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me from the one I had today.
Hello, everybody. This is 100 Yes, this is one street over, and a chance for us to see what's going on. One street over from where you live in here in Robeson County. And if you're in Robeson County, lucky you. We are so blessed. We love what we're doing here. And I'm getting to know Amanda Keys, Amanda Fields. I'm sorry, we got Megan Keys coming in, and that's a cousin, and we're just kind of getting the whole family stuff. And her best friend lives at the top of the hill from me, and all this stuff. You're going to have to pull that microphone to you. I forgot to do that, Amanda, before we opened up the microphones. We're just sitting here chit-chatting, getting to know. I tell everybody when they come in, they'll say, turn that microphone to where you're talking right into the front of it for me. There you go.
Good.
But yes, and I tell everybody, they come in, they're like, well, what are we going to talk about? I said, we're just sitting on the porch getting to know each other and all of those things. And Amanda was telling me that you came into my classroom and because you graduated from Greenbrier.
I did, and I was there. I had brought some teachers to observe in the science department one day
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
And I worked with Larry Staggs when he was at Springfield High.
Okay.
And so I was walking around with Mr. Staggs, and he said, I want you to meet our new, AV department. I want you to come in here and look, see what we're doing, because that was not there when I taught it.
No.
We were not having that program. So he was real proud of it. So we walked down and looked around in your room, and
Well, very cool. And we love showing it off. We really do. We're excited about what we're getting to do there. And, of course, now they're building the program over at Springfield.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we're actually in a competition right now with I've talked to Mr. Reagan. I said, okay, so we're going to – because we've got to do that. That's part of the CTE, objective is to give the kids, some real world experience. So we're in a little short film competition, and we're having a competition within our school, and then we're going to take our best and send it with the best of what they come up with at Springfield over to the CTE office at Central Office, and they're going to decide who the winner is this weekend.
oh, awesome. That's
And
neat.
so
That's-
we're excited about that, but we're having a blast.
Kids
we're
get
having
super
so much
excited
fun.
about competition.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. But so you are with White House Heritage Elementary.
Right. Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
are you Dr. Fields?
No, I'm not Dr. Fields.
Okay.
Now, there is Dr. Fields. That's my sister. She's at the
Oh.
central office, but I'm just
Okay. Okay.
almost. I have to
Man,
finish
you're-
my dissertation, and I'll be.
Oh, so
Dr.
you're
Fields.
headed to being Dr. Fields. Well, my
Hopefully.
goodness, I know your parents are
We'll see.
proud.
We'll see.
Two doctors, just two doctors in the family, or are there others?
Just two. Just
okay.
two.
Isn't it funny though? I just love sitting here listening to you talk about all these people. It's like, well, they live here and they live, and all these people.
I do.
You're definitely a Robeson County.
I am. Yep. I graduated from Greenbrier High.
Yeah.
Always lived here.
Very good. Well, I love that because, I have that familiarity back home because I'm from West Kentucky. And so I get that, and talk to my brother all the time, and he'll fill me in on what's going on and around town. And it's a unique thing to be able to. Now, this is my home now because I got here in 91.
Okay.
And so I am a Robertson County, and my children, except for two of them that were born when we were living in Hendersonville, but the other two, they were here when they were born. And so we are pure Robertson Countyans, but we're transplants.
Sure.
And my husband's from Michigan. So, but when I meet the ones that are truly local, have you worked locally throughout your entire career, or did you work in other districts?
I did go to Dixon
We
County.
talked a little bit about
I went
this
to
with
Dixon
Dr.
County
Weeks.
for a few years with Dr. Weeks, and then I've actually gone to Dixon County twice.
Okay.
In 2012, I went to Dixon County, and I was assistant principal at White Bluff Elementary
Okay.
for 4 years. Then I came back and then I went back again, and now here I am back in Robertson County.
We got to talk about Dixon because I have to go to a track meet in Dixon tonight because I am the assistant track coach.
Oh.
So, and everybody's like, really? I didn't know you did track. I did not. I am there to help because they really needed a female
That's
on
what
the
happens
roster.
in high school. You
You
do all the things.
You just do the things that are needed. And so I kind of, everybody's like, yeah, you need to do this, LaVern. And it's been a bit of a challenge because I'm already kind of busy, but I just love getting to know any of the kids.
Well, and it's a whole different kind of interaction outside the classroom.
Yes,
it's a different way to interact with kids when you're sponsoring a club or a team or something like that.
I love watching the way these head coaches talk with the students. And I don't have that capacity because I don't really know the sport. But my husband's an assistant coach over at Springfield with shot put and disc, and then listening to Ed Rakes talk. I just listened to him talk with one of the kids last night about their strong suits in the sport, and it's just nice because they know a different level of these kids. So if you haven't discovered the joys of what we're doing in our school systems, you're just missing out. Be a sub, drive a bus, maybe teach. You can teach. You can retire into teaching, as my husband and I have done.
Be a sub for sure. We always need subs.
Yes. So let's start there. So you're with White House Elementary.
Right.
Where are you? And this is our principal, by the way.
Right.
This is Jim Bellis set this up. We're visiting with our principals once a month. Now we had Dr. Holmes was in yesterday because we had missed an interview with her, but this is an opportunity just to get to know the principals around the schools. That way you kind of know a little bit more about the schools. So I always like to know, how are you as far as your staffing? Do you have some people retiring? Are you anticipating? Because we're coming up on the end of the school year. Most of the people who are retiring have let us know at this point.
We have 2 folks retiring at Heritage Elementary, and I've already replaced both of them.
Okay.
So I feel very lucky for that.
For sure.
And then we anticipate potentially, White House is a very fast growing area.
Yes, it is.
So we anticipate possibly getting a couple of new positions next year at my school. We're 3rd through 6th grade.
Okay.
So my school is 3rd through 6th grade. We've got 680 students in 3rd through 6th grade.
Wow.
We're bursting at the seams.
Yep.
But so yes, we do anticipate getting a couple of new positions. But yeah, so we're still actively interviewing. We've actually got 6 interviews set up this week.
Oh, wow.
For people for next year. So right there in the thick of getting ready for next year right now.
So, but you feel like you're pacing it pretty good. You're not like, I desperately need this.
Well, we do have a couple of assistant positions that I could hire for right now.
And they are in what?
We've got a CDC position open, and then another special education assistant position.
Right. And that seems to be a standard across the board.
Right.
Across just about every school mentions that. And of course, subs. But the subs are done
Through ESS.
So we have a company that handles our subs now, which I think is working well.
I think so. I've done it both ways.
Yeah.
As a teacher, when I taught at Greenboro High School, I taught, and of course we found our own subs back then.
Yeah.
And then I've done that as an assistant principal before we had the company. But it just really takes that burden off of the school.
Yeah.
The teachers, of course, just you put that in the system, and then subs can pick up and that kind of thing. But I like it. I prefer the use of ESS.
Well, and when you have subs that that are working through that, just like I have a sub that my kids love. And so I called her and I said, hey, can you cover, for this, and this? And I will do that sometimes as
they
well.
Can pick up.
And they'll pick up. Now she's firefighter, so she's only available at certain times. But Miss Hooper. And, but she's got a student there at school and all of that. And so I think that's the kids have that camaraderie because they know her daughter and all that. So they enjoy having her in the classroom. But we've got great subs. We have great subs, and it does work really, really well. But another question that I always tell Jim that I'm going to ask is, what are you most proud of at your school?
I'm proud of my students and staff. We, like I said, we're 3rd through 6th, so we're the only school in the county that's 3rd through 6th grade.
Oh, really?
So it's a little bit of a different dynamic because we do have middle schoolers in our building, but they do a great job. My kids and teachers, they work so hard, and I'm just proud of them. they come together. They're a real community. We're a big school. 680 kids
a
in
lot,
4 grades
yeah.
is a lot. So my teams are big. 7 and 8 teachers on a team, and it's hard sometimes when you have that many people trying to work together. But they're just phenomenal. It's a real community. My PTO is top notch. Jacqueline Bishop is my PTO president, and just the fact that she's not from here, my PTO president. She and her sister, they're both officers in my PTO, and they work so hard for our kids and our teachers. And I mean, there's just really nothing I'm not proud of. I'll tell you that. We've got a huge event coming up this Friday with our PTO. It's the Patriot Fest. It's a new event, like a carnival, like a spring carnival.
Fun.
Yeah, and they've just worked so hard. And I just hope everybody shows up. And let me just put a plug in. That's open to the community. So even if you're not a Heritage Elementary student, come on out to the Patriot Fest.
What kind of thing? What should they expect?
Games and food, and they have the best baskets that they're raffling off that I have.
Wow!
There are some that I will definitely be putting my name in to hopefully win those baskets. My teachers are super excited, but Duncan booth, just your traditional events. We just fingers crossed that we can do it outside.
Oh, I know that
know.
weather. We're supposed to have
know.
a track meet on Saturday, and it's our only local track meet up at MLK Park. And we're all just going,
and that's a phenomenal event. I've been to that local one, and it's
super
so fun.
excited about it, but it's like, man, the weather is not looking good. And that's going to be our seniors recognition time and all of that. So we're just hoping, pray that weather, and also we'll just pray it for y'all too. But now, what's the time? What time of the is it in the afternoon?
5:30 is what time it begins.
It begins at 5:30 until what time?
8 o'clock.
And it's taking place there at school.
Yes,
at
school.
At your
at my location at Heritage Elementary.
So you mentioned that you're 3rd through 6th. So where do your 7th and 8th graders go over there?
Over at the high school.
Oh, really?
White House Heritage High, 7 through 12.
Wow, I bet they're packed.
Yeah, we're all pretty packed.
I
and
bet
then
you are.
Woodall, Robert F. Woodall is the pre-K 2.
Okay. So it goes through 2nd. Okay.
And then they transition over to me. And that's, I know you had Jen Hayes last month. She's a 3 through 5 building at Cheatham Park. So they do transition from 2nd to 3rd, different buildings there, but she doesn't have 6th grade.
That's so interesting across our district. It's, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why it's really critical that we talk with you guys, because if you're not, it's different because of our district, the way it's broken up, we're utilizing to the best of our ability each facility. Right. And so that means it's not going to be standard. It's not going to be, okay, we're going to have this elementary and it's going to be K through 5 here, and it's going to be standard across the board. They're all different, and that's okay.
It is,
but it makes it a little more complicated.
It does, because like I said, with us having two different, I guess you'd say, grade bands in the building, with the elementary and the middle, even with like our TCAP testing coming up.
Oh yeah.
So we have to run for 3-5. We do that's a paper test, but then 6th grade runs like the middle high school. It's the computer-based test, so a lot of times we're running almost 2 different programs in the same building. So that is just a little bit of a challenge, but we make it work. Make it work.
I'm shocked that you still have paper tests for that.
Do. Elementary does, because they don't have one-to-one computers in elementary school. Only 6-12 has everybody has a laptop starting in 6th grade, but K-5 does not. Okay, so it is still a paper test.
Okay, I'm really surprised by that, man. That seems so antiquated in the days that we're in right now, because you would think that, I don't know, I'm just surprised to hear that, because I mean that's a challenge, the doing the grading and all that now. So, I'm learning all kinds of things. I'm learning all kinds of things, and people don't realize that the testing season that we're approaching. When do yours start?
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, pretty much, because ours
they all start pretty.
Around the 14th.
We don't really,
so mid-April.
The district tells us when to start. They give us that.
Okay.
That
so
schedule,
all the elementary testing and the high school testing is all pretty much, and it's all just EOC is what we call it in the high school building, and that's end of course testing for those of you who don't know the acronym. But so the kids are, and it's crucial for school rankings. It's crucial. It's a lot of it's part of the kid's grade.
It's part of our teachers' evaluations.
You better believe it. I have such a heart for my teachers that weighs on them.
It does.
And that's why I tell my kids, they'll make a joke about it and stuff. And I'm like, don't do that. I said, you do not understand. I said, it hurts the ranking of, number one, it's part of your grade. Number two, it affects your teachers. So, if you have any respect at all for your teachers, man, keep that in mind. And it really affects the ranking of your school. And when you graduate, you want to have in your transcript schools that were ranked to where people go, oh, okay, yeah, that's good. It will affect you, and they just want to dismiss it. And you just got to, parents, talk to your kids. This stuff matters. It really does.
Well, and additionally, we have that third grade promotion law now.
Oh, yeah.
In the state of Tennessee. So, of course, I have third grade in my building. So we also have that additional component with that law.
And why don't you unpack that for people? Just so, since you mentioned third grade earlier, I thought, okay, they're dealing with the third grade stuff. So exactly what does that mean for everybody? And that's only been in the past year.
Well,
right?
It's
we're
been
in
a
the
couple
second.
Of years.
This is the second year, isn't it?
Been a
or is
couple
it
of years,
third?
yeah.
Man, time flies.
It's so third. So we have the students in third grade, and it's ELA that it's based on. So the English Language Arts, they have to be proficient, and it's a whole, and it's really almost too much to kind of talk about without the chart, but there's a whole set of steps. So if they're not proficient in third grade ELA, they can be retained unless they complete like certain steps. So that might be, depending on their score, that might be summer learning camp. That might be tutoring during the fourth grade, like during school tutoring or after school tutoring. It might be a combination of both. So there's various ways you can get promoted, or you can be promoted even if you are not proficient. You also get to take it again. So if they're not proficient when they take it, then in April, at the end of the very end of the school year, those students can take the test again. If they're proficient then. So there are multiple ways to get promoted, even if they're not proficient that first time. In that below or that approaching category. So it's a pretty complicated law.
Interesting, though, but nobody's ever explained that portion of it to me, because when I heard about this, I thought, man, that's a lot of pressure on these kids and the parents and everything, and the teachers. But if they get that score that drops them to where they're like, okay, you're not getting promoted, you've got another chance to take it. So the pressure's off. Because I would think that the kids, I've seen the anxiety of some of the kids. Some of my co-teachers have kids in these age ranges, and they're very anxious about it.
It's a lot on an 8-year-old.
You better believe it. And just like, man, I've got to pass this test. And if they don't do well, they've got another chance to take it. And so now they've already had an experience with it. They see it's not this big bad monster. It's just, I can do this. And kind of know how. I'm of course, that's one thing, when you don't get your kids to school, if they miss school, oh my goodness, you just have no idea, especially when they're coming up on this testing, because teachers are trying, all the time, but they're trying their best to get all this information in. Sometimes maybe they're missing a day, and I know if they're sick, keep them home, absolutely, because you get everybody sick. But I've had so many kids, and I know this is a problem in high school. I just didn't feel like coming today. And I know what it does to my program. If I am teaching something specifically and then I have to stop what I'm doing, reteach it to you, what am I doing with the rest of the kids in my class? And if it's something that's going to be on these tests that are so critical, you got to get your kids to school, folks. You got to get your kids to school.
The consistency and the routine is important for kids.
Yeah.
And like you said, we have a hard time teaching them if they're not there.
You better believe it.
So like you said, keep them home if they're sick.
Right.
But otherwise, it's best if they're there every day.
Muriel Barnett is one of my best friends, and she taught for 31 years.
I worked with Muriel for years.
Okay. So
at Greenboro High.
And she finished her career at White House Heritage. And whenever she would get to right before end of course testing, the stress I could see in her, because she's like, this is going to be on the test and we have not had time to cover it. And it would just absolutely grieve her, because she did not want her kids sitting down at a test that they've not had a chance to even go over the material. And she goes, we're just pushing it so hard trying to get this to them. And she says, when we have to deal with just nonsense out of kids that want to be disruptive and all this kind of stuff. And she would just tell me stories. And I just, again, my heart goes out to the teachers that are teaching these tested subjects. It's a completely different dynamic. I'm teaching audio video.
Well, and the kids choose to be in your class.
Fun.
They enjoy it, right?
Yeah, and it's nothing like being what field did you? What
I taught English.
Oh, God bless you. Again,
I taught
English teachers, math teachers, the sciences, and biology, and all of those. I just want to hug you because I know it's got to be so difficult.
I taught 11th and 12th grade English. That's all I ever taught at Greenboro High. So.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But, I'll be honest, though, that was the early-ish to mid-2000s.
Yeah.
And at the time, I never had an end of course test.
Okay.
Back then we had the writing assessment in 11th grade. So that was my state test, was the TCAP writing assessment. It was not, it wasn't a multiple choice test.
Right.
So we taught them, Michelle Gregory, who you still work with.
Yes.
Michelle taught 11th grade with me, and then Samantha Grimes, who's still there.
Yes,
We were the
love
11th
Miss
grade
Grimes.
folks. And, so it was more teaching them to write an essay rather than the standardized test at the 11th grade level then. And then I taught 12th grade, and there are no EOCs really.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Seniors.
my seniors. We have cat time is basically home run because it's Bobcat, and y'all have pat time,
We do,
which is the Patriot.
at the high school.
I finally figured that out. I'm like, oh, I didn't understand. I was like, what does cat time mean? And Muriel goes, LaVern, you're Bobcats. We're Patriots. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's so funny. She just kind of rolled her eyes at me, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Thank you. But it's so funny because I have a cat time full of seniors, and we are now 28 days today from the end of their high school careers. They are like, they're so checked out. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Teaching seniors in the spring in English,
Yeah.
they've got to pass it.
Yes, that's
and,
just
and it becomes kind of a refrain every day when you teach seniors in the spring, like, guys, you got to pass this. I know. I was a senior once, many years ago.
Yeah.
And you've got to pass this.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different kind of thing than, like I said, elementary school. And I never taught elementary school. I've been an elementary assistant principal and principal, but I never actually was a classroom teacher in elementary school. So it's a whole different kind of, and I think the top grade, no matter what school, whether it's 5th grade or like in my building, 6th grade, you always get those, kind of, I'm the top dog jitters here in the spring. So that's, my 6th graders kind of feel like that. And, when you're in a traditional middle school, that's going to be your 8th graders that feel like that.
Sure.
But nothing's like a senior in the spring. There's nothing like a senior in the spring.
And I love them to pieces.
Certainly.
But I'm telling you, I am just getting so tickled at them because and it's prom week.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. It's so funny, but this is fun. I love talking just being in the schools and understanding it more now. I'm getting such a kick out of talking to all you principals because it's just an interesting dynamic. We're talking with Amanda Fields. She is the principal at White House Heritage Elementary, but that is 3 through 6. So that is very interesting. I did not realize it was 7th through 12th at White House Heritage High School. Yep. And I don't know if I don't know if we've had her in or not. I don't think we've had that principal
Dr.
in.
Haas, Dr. Kim Haas.
I don't think so. Maybe she's coming in next month, but I don't think I've had her in. But I didn't realize that. And and having Muriel as a friend, I don't think I realized that. But Muriel taught high school, so you have the two different bands there because you have a middle school and high school. So she was high school.
Joe Burns High and East Robertson High are both like they're 6 through 12.
Yes, I knew that. Because of I don't know, for some reason I was thinking of White House Heritage is more the cosmopolitan kind of part of our district because it is, it's White House, and because it's the bigger, it's the one that everybody just is always talking about. It's just Bootman.
Well, because we're sitting right there at the interstate.
Yes.
So that makes a huge impact, I think, on our growth. When you drive, first of all, the traffic is, I don't even want to talk about the traffic. But, I get to school at 5:45 a.m., so there is no traffic, but if I have to go anywhere here in the school day, if I have to go to Springfield to the Board of Education or anything like that, it is just mind blowing how many cars are on the road. And if you drive around, the number of houses being built in that area is just wow.
It's wild. It's wild. So what time does your You get there that early. What
do.
time's the bell ring for the kids?
The doors open at 6:45, and then
Wow.
our school starts at 7:15. So we're 7:15 to 2:15.
That's incredible. See, people have so many people will talk about. My husband was a safety coordinator for the buses for a couple of years before he is teaching at Springfield. He's one of the criminal justice teachers. That's his education background. And so it's so interesting because people would always ask, what are buses doing on the road at such and such time? They don't understand that to be able to navigate the traffic and the logistics of getting the kids there, you have to have some that start super early. And
Right.
some that you figure Springfield doesn't start until 8:30.
Well, and they stagger them. You know, that's why we
Yes,
have
that's the
staggered
reason.
because my buses also serve, of course, Woodall
Yep.
Elementary and then White House Heritage High. My buses serve that entire cluster.
Exactly. So
So-
you have so many bus drivers that will start at 5 a.m. and then they'll drop their last load off at 8:30. And people just don't realize that. There's so much to the logistics of it. And Mr. Heineman's going, yes, tell him, LaVern, tell him.
Right. Well,
the
and you know,
transportation.
I served as the assistant principal at Springfield High for several years. So
wow.
yeah, I was at Chrysler Elementary
Yeah,
too.
you've been all
as
over.
AP. I have. And just the sheer number of buses that
Oh, yeah.
serve Springfield High School, because that was my morning and afternoon duty was buses.
Mm-hmm.
Angie Inman was one of our assistant principals at the time, and we did buses. And there are so many buses that serve
Yes.
just that school.
Yeah.
Because it is large, it is large, and a lot of students ride the bus throughout high school at Springfield High. So just I can't even imagine trying to figure out
can't.
those routes and the logistics of keeping that transportation running and making it as efficient as possible.
Yeah,
So I
it is
commend
a
the
lot.
transportation department for sure.
Yeah, so to kind of come back around, there's all kinds of jobs out there, guys. We had our
Yes.
job fair last week, but if you're wanting to work in the school systems, if anything, we said it's such a family being part of the Robertson County school systems. I love it, absolutely adore it. It has been just such a perfect fit for my husband and I. We, over our prayers every morning, we're just like, thank you, Lord, for giving us this check. Because it's just, we retired into teaching, and I highly recommend, I get tickled. My friend, Mr. Valines, he goes, I think I want to do that. And then he went into English, and I'm like, oh, but that's a real subject, Chris.
It's all real.
Oh, well, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
But that's that tested
Tested,
subject
sure.
thing, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. But he's doing great, and so anything we're missing, we got a couple of minutes. I saw that Megan has come; she's out there waiting in
see
the
her.
wings there. So anything that we're missing about White House Heritage Elementary before we wrap up our time together?
I love it. We're and I know you talked last week a little bit with Miss last month with Miss Callis about that rezone piece.
Yes.
Of course, that's
Yes.
impacting us.
Yes.
That's impacting us, and I just want to. I can't speak highly enough about my people. And it might sound kind of weird when I say my people, but those people that work in that building, that's my family. Those are my people, and I can't speak highly enough about my school community. Like I said, my parents, my PTO, my students. It's just a great place, and I'm lucky, to be at Heritage Elementary. I feel very blessed and lucky to be there.
I love it. I love it. And again, that redistricting, if you got that note that's saying how you're being redistricted, there are options to stay put.
There
but
are.
You just have to put the appeal in.
Well,
right.
there's a link you have to go to
Yeah.
and fill out, and if you can provide your own transportation, that's the catch. If you provide your own transportation, you can stay, and I believe that has to be done by the end of this week.
Right.
You have to make that decision whether you're gonna stay in the cluster you're currently in, be at the White House cluster or over on the other side of the county,
Right.
or if you're going to take the rezone to wherever you've been rezoned.
But again, it's about transportation. It's that
It
logistics
is.
thing we mentioned. And as everything grows, there's just nothing more they can do. And so just work with everybody, y'all. But so nice to see you.
Nice to
and
see you.
I will look forward to seeing you
All
again
right.
and seeing all your friends around my community, too.
All right.
And meeting your cousin here in just a minute, right? Joe
Yep.
Burns, right? You said
Yep,
it's where
Joe
Megan's
Burns
from?
Elementary.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
I'm going to let
much.
y'all make the switch, and I'm going to do talk about my sponsors, Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. You have a great day.
All right, thank you.
God bless you. And as Amanda makes her way out and Megan makes her way in, we are going to talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Talking about White House, Rebecca's office, actually, her agency office is up in White House. And so come on in and sit down. But Rebecca's office is in White House. Barry has a brokerage office that's here in Springfield. And what they were able to do is they took those two offices and brought them together to bring you a new branch in the Exit Tree, is what we like to say. They are now Exit Prime Realty. They were with the Garden Gate team for many, many years, but they made that jump over to Exit Prime Realty coming up on 2 years. So, but they made that jump and want to invite you to come out and get to know them. You can call them anytime. They're going to be at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, of course, on May 16th and 17th, and that's a really wonderful. They come set their table up in their tent. It's a great opportunity to sit across the table from them and just ask them all the questions that maybe you're just thinking about with real estate interest and needs and things like that. But, and I tease everybody and say, you can do that anytime. You can call them, and Barry and Rebecca will sit down across the table from you and just say, okay, you're wanting to buy? Well, what are you qualified to buy? They'll help you ask those questions. Oh, you're wanting to be a realtor. Well, what is your desires? What are your goals in this? And they're going to see if they can help you meet those goals. And probably they can and exceed those goals, quite frankly. And maybe you're looking for some property that, I've mentioned a couple of times, we would love to, purchase something up on the top of the hill of the land we own, because we've got one of our sons and his bride. They've talked about coming back, but they would really like to build. They don't want to be in my backyard. I don't know why. They could build right beside me, but they're like, maybe we want a little bit more privacy than that, and I get that. So, Barry and Rebecca, they're keeping an eye on seeing if something, right there that connects to our property already comes up and available for sale. And those kinds of things can be done when you know realtors and they know your needs and they know your interests and those kinds of things. Barry is, again, the broker. She's an agent, and they put those two offices together to bring you Exit Prime Realty. Best way to contact them, and we've got to always mention his marketing background, guys. That is so priceless when it comes to trying to sell property and make sure if you go and look at their listings and you look at them, you can tell a marketer did it. I mean, it's incredible how professional and how well he does that. But you can call. Rebecca's number is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or you can go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy BUY, RobertsonCounty.com. Always please let them know that U-Turn sent you. They specialize in Robertson County properties because they are here in Robertson County like me for 30 years now. This is their home, but also like me, they're originally from Kentucky. So they've got that diverse background. So they specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They know all about it all, guys. Reach out to them today. Sellwithbecky.com or buy BUY RobertsonCounty.com, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Let them know you've turned. Hello. So we're just talking about you guys know each other, and I saw a youngin' out there. Whose child was that?
That's mine.
Okay, get right on that microphone.
Oh,
so
that's mine.
And so is she helping you out and dropping him off somewhere or something?
No, he's just gonna stay out there until we're done.
It was so funny because I saw him kind of walk out, and I thought, isn't that fun? She probably tagged him. So, can you drop him off on your way? Because
she's going the opposite.
Oh, okay, I got you. Because you're cousins.
That's correct.
So you're another Robertson Countyan.
I am, yes, ma'am. Born and raised.
I love it. So Joe Burns.
Joe Burns Elementary.
Elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
And what grades? Because I know Amanda was telling me that she has 3rd through 6th. What do you have at Joe Burns?
We have pre-K 3 through 5th grade.
But you're all in the same building, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that cool?
Yes,
okay.
Ma'am. And we also just opened a daycare for employees' children. And so we have 6 weeks to right now to 2-year-olds, but it can go
what a
up
blessing.
to 5-year-olds. It is.
Oh, my
something
gosh.
special to have those babies in our building.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm a grandparent. I've got 4 grandchildren. And we've got the great blessing of my daughter-in-law in Mount Juliet. She has her mother and sister there that are just, like extra parents, and they just work so well together. And so they have that childcare. Mm-hmm. But one of my twins, him and his bride, they live in Jackson. There's no family.
Yeah.
no family there. Her family's in Kansas. We're here. They've got their church, which is a beautiful extension of the family. But my daughter-in-law is a librarian, and they have a daycare there. So my grandson gets to be there with his mommy. It just makes this grandma's heart so much more at peace knowing that his mom's right there.
Yes.
And so what a blessing.
It's truly a blessing.
What a blessing.
For our teachers
Yeah.
and some of the community.
Yeah.
We can extend that out to Joe Burns High School, and then if we still have spots available, it can be opened up to other teachers within the district.
That's wonderful.
It is.
I have one of my friends that teaches up at Greenbrier, that her little one, and that she was talking about, and I'm not going to mention too many details, but she said about, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do what I'm doing next year because I've got the little one. And I was like, well, they've got a daycare just up the street.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'd really thought about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm hoping that worked out for her, because that's a game changer.
It is.
It's a game changer. And when it comes to the fact that we need teachers so desperately, it keeps more teachers in the classroom.
It does. It was a great strategy to put into place to retain those teachers.
Yeah.
And just to encourage them to come to our school building as well.
Yeah.
When your child is there and safe, that makes you want to be there and stay
You
there.
bet. Well, very good. So now, how long have you been at Joe Burns?
I have been the principal there for 4 years. Prior to that, I started my education career and taught at Joe Burns Elementary.
Okay.
So I taught there for 4 years. I moved out within the district. I went to Crestview for 1 year, and then I moved to Cheatham Park as a RTI coordinator, and then that's where I began my administration role at Cheatham Park. So I was assistant principal there for 2 years, and then I started my journey back at Joe Burns Elementary as the principal.
That's where you wanted to be. You wanted
Yes.
to come home, didn't you?
It's a special place to be.
Yeah, you can
Very
tell.
Special.
You can tell. Well, it's just that it's your home.
It's not
right?
my home.
Oh, it's not. I thought
I'm
you
not
did.
from
Oh,
Joe
you're not.
Burns.
Okay, where did you
Actually,
graduate? Where'd you
I
graduate?
graduated from Greenbrier High School.
Oh, you're another one of those. Oh, well,
Another one of
You're
those.
another one of our Bobcats. I love Greenbrier.
I am.
I'm having so much fun. When did you graduate from Greenbrier?
2008.
Okay. You're young. My goodness. In administration to be as young as you
I
are.
don't feel that yet.
Oh, honey, just wait. It goes quick. But no, that's wonderful that you've been able to achieve. And you something you
is.
mentioned as you were going through your resume. RTI, what is that?
So it's response to intervention. It's in every school building.
Yeah, I hear it all the time, but I don't really understand it.
Absolutely. In our school building, and it's different in every school building, but in our school building during that time, all students are going somewhere to receive instruction. Some students are receiving that Tier 1 instruction just to remediate those needs, reteach those skills. Tier 2 is a little bit more intense, could be skills-based, could be standards-driven. It just depends on that group of students and what needs they have. And then you can move to Tier 3, and that's your most intense intervention that you can provide for students prior to moving to higher needs, more skills-based, but really just focus on closing that gap for students.
So what you're saying is every child is evaluated from that perspective to say what level do you need to make
Correct.
sure that the you're not missing out on your math. So maybe you have the tendency, I just never did very, very good in math. So from the RTI perspective, you say, okay, how can we fill those gaps in?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
And they're
All right.
screened each year. They take it 3 times a year. It's called the Universal Screener. We use Ames Web within the district. And so if they're scoring below that 25th percentile, it may be a flag to say, hey, this student could be at risk. What interventions can we provide
Okay.
for them?
Because I get those little charts that I hand out to my homeroom, and that's what that is.
Yes,
then.
ma'am.
Oh, I said I'm just finishing my 3rd year, but there's all these things that
There
you
is.
get, and you're like, okay, I don't really understand this, but you just,
Right.
You
You
gotta
just
be
send it home
There
and
you
hope
go.
that the parents understand it.
yeah. So that helps tremendously. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
ma'am.
And there's just so much to learn in this. It is such a rewarding field, though. I absolutely adore. Did you always want to teach? Is that what you started out as?
Yes, ma'am.
So I would think so. To achieve the level you are, I figured you didn't have any career.
I grew up in a school building my entire life. My mom taught for 30 plus years.
Wow.
She probably hesitated a little to pay for college for me to do that, but
Yeah.
that was always in my heart, and I knew, that's where I was going to be.
Awesome. That's very cool. So I love we've had 2 in a row, just absolute Robertson Countyans. That says something to your district, that these ladies grew up here and they want to be here. And I think that speaks so boldly for what we have going on here in Robertson County. I just love that.
Absolutely. And our central office staff are the most supportive.
They're
feel,
awesome.
That you'll find around. They are here to support you, and they want the students in Robertson County to succeed.
You better believe it. That's the goal right there, is to make sure that we're sending out world-class students that are doing the things that their heart desires and that God has gifted them with.
Absolutely.
And I love it. So I always like to ask everybody, what are you most proud of at your school?
I'm
at
just
Joe Burns Elementary.
Over the past few years, we really built, and it was there prior to me, but we have really focused on just building that school culture and making sure that we are celebrating our students daily. Once a month, we make sure to bring them all into the gym. It's called Family Friday, and just have a time of celebration. Celebrate their social growth, celebrate their emotional growth, celebrate their academics. But in order for students to succeed, you have to celebrate them. You have to recognize their achievements. And so just really building that school culture there. And it's such a close-knit community. And for a lot of teachers there, that is their home. So they want their students to be successful. And they want to really build the students' character to make sure that they succeed far past elementary school.
So is this this is like the little ones always all the way to the big ones that come in,
don't
or
bring
is
the
it
daycare babies in? But our 3-year-olds do come in, and
so it's third to seniors?
To 5th grade.
Okay, so you're bringing in the elementary
Yes,
altogether.
ma'am.
So I was going to say,
Yes,
boy, you've
ma'am.
got a packed gym
Oh
then.
no, we're not bringing those middle schoolers over there.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be a packed house.
That
so
would
it's
be.
so you're bringing together your elementary kiddos and giving them a chance to celebrate. And see, and
Absolutely.
that is something we have seen through the Renaissance program at Greenbrier, is when you celebrate something other. I mean, you want to celebrate the sports, of course you do. Athleticism, I can't say enough about the importance of it. But there are some kids that are just not into it.
Right.
That's just not their thing.
Right.
And you need to celebrate them very intentionally for the academic achievements. And there's not been a lot of opportunity for that. And so with us, it's been Renaissance, with Samantha
Right.
Grimes. And so that sounds like that's what y'all are doing with your family day.
It is, and we
Family Fun Day.
We had a group of teachers who visited the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta. And so we brought that back to our school and have implemented what they call the house system, but students earn points, and so that's based on their academics and
Right.
behavior, and that is another way that we celebrate them.
Mhm.
Their hard work, and we have those house points leaders, and kids want to be that leader.
Yeah.
They want to have the most points. Teachers compete for the points, so there's that competitive spirit within the building, where not only are we working for our academic points, but we're also working towards our behavior points as well.
And that kind of goes up through the entire school, doesn't it? Because
Yes,
it seems
ma'am.
like I heard some of the other principals talking about the points that y'all do and the reward system and stuff, even with higher grades.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
interesting.
Every
Okay,
building is different on what they call it and how they utilize it, but yes, ma'am.
awesome. I love it. I love it. So that's very cool. So what have you got? Do you have anything big coming up that you want to promote? I know that when I was talking to Amanda, they have their festival that's coming up on Friday. Do you have anything like that coming up here toward the end of the school year?
We have a family night coming up on May 8th. So I think we're going to do STEM night and then a family game night where we teach some families how to play like an academic math game, and then we'll actually send home the materials with them so they could play at home. And then we'll have some STEM activities, and we're also having our kindergarten kickoff that night.
Oh, wow.
So that is where incoming kindergartners who will start next year, they can come in, register, see the school building, meet the kindergarten teachers. We did that last year for the first time, and it was a really great hit. It's just a great opportunity for those families to come in who haven't been to the school building before, meet those faces. Kids can have familiar faces for when they do start in August.
See, and I think that's so good because I've seen that with my grandkids out in Mount Juliet, that they've had that opportunity before, like right now. they're going to be taking my granddaughter because she's going to be a kindergartner in the fall.
Right.
But it takes a little of that anxiety away,
does.
I think, because now they get a little taste of it, and so now the excitement builds over the summer. She's so excited to go to kindergarten, but there's got to be a little anxiety there too.
There is. About this time of year, we start getting some phone calls from those kindergarten families who it is their first time to send a child to school. And so it's just a way to ease their nerves and kind of ease them into that process.
I get it. I think that's wonderful. I think that's a great program. But now, too, another question I always like to ask is, how are you as far as staffing? Because this is the time of the year where we hear about retirements.
Right.
Where are you as far as what you're anticipating next year? You got staff openings? Have you got retirements? How are you doing on that regard?
As of now, we do not have any openings or any retirements that I'm aware of. We do have the rezoning happening, and so I'm not sure at this moment how that will impact us.
Okay.
I do foresee that we will have quite a bit extra students in our building based on how that rezoning is going to play out. Currently, we have about 341 children, but we have a lot of empty classrooms.
Okay.
So when I was taught at Joe Burns Elementary, that was 10 years ago, there were 600 children in that building.
Oh, wow.
And so I do foresee this rezoning impacting us a little bit, and we could have some growth positions opening up this summer.
And see, that's what people don't realize is when they see, they're like, why are we rezoning? Well, when you see schools like the Heritage that are just packed, and then you're saying you've got some empty classrooms, of course that's what they've got to do. And so, and again, we just remind you that if you can provide transportation, you can stay where you are, but that's going to be the issue is the logistics of trying to get those kids there is what the big issue is. And two, the capacity of what they've got in the different buildings. And this is something that, Amanda and I were talking about, how it's so diverse across Robertson County that you guys have a building where y'all are from start to finish.
Right.
That's how I grew up, and it's a sweet, it's just such a sweet environment to be able to be in that same space, know. And it's something that if you've never experienced that, it's cool. It's cool being there on the same campus from the entire time. But then you've got others where we've got a facility over here that can accommodate this many grades, and you just have to move with it. It's a very unique district in that regard. But I think it's good. I think it's a good thing.
Great.
It gives us some diversity.
Yeah, and it's going to be an opportunity for growth for Joe Burns Elementary. So a lot of families that are very close to the school have been out of zone, and this is going to be an opportunity for them to be in zone and be at their school that they want to be. So it's an opportunity for growth, and I think it'll be very positive for the community.
Well, very good. Very good. So let's go back a little bit. We jumped right in, and we were talking about your background. So you said that when you first started, you taught. What subject did you say you taught? Did we cover that?
I taught 4th grade, and I believe my first year I only taught the ELA portion.
Really?
Yes, and so we were departmentalized, and then I think a couple of years later I taught all all subjects in 4th grade, but my entire teaching career was in 4th grade.
Okay, interesting. That's an interesting age right there, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, when I started education, I was like, oh, I really want to be with those littles. Yeah. And then I student taught in 2nd grade, and I was like, I don't think this is for me.
How funny. Well, see, I don't know that I don't know how I would do with the little ones. I would love them. I don't know that I would be the best from a teaching perspective.
Right.
I've got one of my nieces up in Kentucky. She's with her little ones, and she's phenomenal. My friend Amanda Jagger, Shaman. Yeah, she's one of my neighbors who I just love to pieces. She's an amazing elementary teacher and just perfect. And you have those that are just that's what they were called to.
Absolutely.
I really think I'm supposed to be in high school. I really think I'm supposed to be in the high school. And I don't know why, but you know where you're supposed to be. Now you mentioned English language arts. So you were an English teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want to sometimes confuse that with the ELL, the English language learners. Sometimes I get that confused because my desire on the front end was to be an ELL teacher.
Okay.
That's what when I first decided that, hey, I'm gonna, retire into teaching. I was going to go back to school to be an ELL because I've got a lot of connections in the immigrant community and things like that. And I've just fallen in love with a lot of those situations. And I thought, man, that's what I really want to do. But I very quickly got, they called me and said, hey, you don't have to go back to school and you can teach. And I'm like, woo, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And don't you do have to go to school. If you're a career teacher, if you're one of them that get pulled out of the private sector, you do have to go and be taught to teach. There is a program through CTE that you do have to complete because they're not just going to throw you in the classroom.
Right.
So I did have to do that, but I didn't have to go back and completely. I would have had to have gotten certified in ELL.
Do an entire teaching program.
Exactly. And I was ready to do that. And I don't want to discourage people because you can totally do that. I would love to be a history teacher. Oh, I would love to be a history teacher. I love history, but I would have to totally go back to school to do that. And you totally can. And it's such a need across the board. And if you're somebody that likes math, we need you so much.
They need it.
Isn't that the truth? So what are we missing here? Anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that you share with people about what's going on at Joe Burns Elementary?
We are just proud of Joe Burns Elementary and the hard work that we have come so far over the past couple of years. This school year, we were designated a reward school from the state. Awesome. So that we've come a long way, and that just comes from the hard work and dedication of our teachers. They are there, they show up, and they want their students to succeed. And our students, they want to be successful. They come in, they have positive attitudes. It's just something special when you greet those buses in the mornings. They want to be there. They have the smile. They tell you you're beautiful, but they want to be at school and they want to learn. It's just a very special community. We have a great support system, families who want to support us daily by providing meals or treats for the teachers. Just whatever we need, people are going to rise to the occasion and show up and show out.
Really cool. If you've not been in the school systems, it's a cool atmosphere. Now, we did not mention, we were talking a little bit earlier with Amanda about the staggered start, and her school starts super early. What is your start time?
Our doors open at 7:30, and then we officially start at 8. So we are an elementary school that starts a little bit later than some of the other ones.
Do y'all have the same schedule as the high school?
We do.
So that's probably the reason why is to keep y'all on the same. So as you're coming in, you don't have that staggered start within the same campus. I think that would be utter confusion.
Right. And we start, and it's due to transportation as well. We share buses with the high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so us being on the same start time and end time is helpful to the transportation department.
Well, see, I think that would be good for the parents if you've got high schoolers that can ride with their littles.
Right.
You know, how comforting would that be?
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's how it was when I grew up. That's one thing. I've always I've always liked the concept of Joe Burns because it's the way I grew up. It's what I grew up with. Right. And we were in the same school. We all rode the bus, all of those things. So it's got that familiarity for me for the way I grew up. And there's something, something real special about being there at the same place. Right. So I love it. So for summer, will y'all have a summer program, a summer school kind of thing going on there?
We will have a summer learning camp.
Okay.
All students have been invited to come to that based on test scores or whatever it may be, whatever needs they may have.
Right.
And so we have quite a few signed up now, and we're hoping to get a few more applications in over the next coming weeks. But that will be for the entire month of June, and we have Fridays off.
Okay, and that's one of those things that we were talking about with the law for third graders. If you have a third grader that comes in that doesn't do well on that first test, maybe they take the second one, there's an option where they can do some summer camp stuff to where that can help them to where they can still be promoted.
Correct.
Okay.
If that's the route that they choose to take, if it needed, they would come to summer learning camp. Yeah. They have to have 90% attendance rate. Yeah. And then they have an opportunity to retake the TCAP test again at summer learning camp.
Okay.
And they're looking for adequate growth on that. So if
they
make that adequate growth at summer learning camp, then they are moving to fourth
Fourth
grade.
grade. Well, see, and you see a lot of it from the high school perspective. You'll have a little knucklehead that will not get their stuff done in math, and they can come to their in summer learning camp
Right.
and pick up that credit maybe they missed, so they can graduate with their friends and their peers. And so I think that's a good option. Of course, we try to remind them all in high school, you don't want to be at school this summer, and if you're going to graduate with your friends, it's going to be your only option if you don't get your homework done.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a little bit funner at the elementary level.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they have
yeah.
recess and they
Sure.
have STEM activities during summer learning camp. So we try to encourage students to come by providing some really great activities.
So they still have recess. A lot of
still have
schools
recess.
see a lot of schools say that they don't have recess anymore. So, but that's great. I think kids need to. My high school kids want recess. You know, they're like, we want to go outside, Miss Vivio.
Yeah,
all
we
the
have to
time.
have
I
recess.
know. You
There's
gotta
a
have it.
law in the state of Tennessee for elementary kids that they're required so many minutes
Really?
per week for that physical activity. So
did not
PE is
realize that.
included in that, but
Sure.
recess can be counted as well.
Okay. Well, and they have that to some degree. They have the the classes that are like, just walking, and I mean they have different
Sure.
type physical education classes that they have as well. What are we missing? We've got a few minutes here. Anything that we haven't covered that you want to cover about your school?
I think that's it. I think we've covered it.
How's your PTO? Now we talked a little bit about the one over at Heritage. Do y'all have a PTO organization?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And they have done quite a few activities this school year. We just finished the Penny Wars, and that's always a great fundraiser for them. But our PTO, they do a little bit of everything from Teacher Appreciation Week,
Right.
which is coming up, to buying iPad carts, playground equipment. They're just really great about kind of surveying the needs of the school and then purchasing those things that we need.
Okay, very good. And
Yeah.
do you know? I was going to say this is the wrong question for you. When does y'all's prom hit? Do you know? Because the Greenbriers prom's coming
I
up
don't
this
know when
week.
theirs is.
So I would think, I thought maybe you might know with all the fact that you're all in the building, because with the graduation, that's one thing. We will have a week where we'll have one graduation right after another here in Robeson County for the high schools. And I mean, just will you guys have a graduation at your elementary?
We do not.
Okay.
We do not.
Okay.
They do a pre-K, just kind of end of year celebration, and then they'll do the same thing for kindergarten, but they
Right.
do not graduate.
Okay. So don't do the whole cap and gown and all that little stuff.
Right. They want to make sure they reserve that for the seniors at the high
I
school.
get that. I
Yeah,
mean, it was
that's
super
special.
cute. It was super cute. My kids did it, when they came out of kindergarten, and it was just a cutesy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's been many, many years ago. But I get that. You want to reserve that because sometimes you see them graduating 3 and 4 times before they get to high school. and
Right.
it's like, really? Come on. That's great.
Save that final destination.
Do y'all have any athletics that you facilitate out of the elementary? Or is that all
do
you
not.
community? It's like they have
It's
their
all at the middle in the high school.
right. And so anything, that's what I'm finding is with elementary, I'm having to relearn all this stuff because my grandkids,
Yeah.
I forgot how the structure of elementary worked. And so I kind of thought that everybody had their sports teams, but when they're in the elementary grades, you do it through your community leagues and those kinds of things. But you
Yes.
still have those connections at the school, and like basketball will be
Right.
played a lot of the time at the school.
Yeah,
but
they
it's a
do.
community league.
know. Junior pro basketball, they play up at the middle high school
Okay.
during the winter season. And then the junior pro football, they play at the ball field in Cedar Hill.
Okay, so so we've got it all covered. We've got a great district here, guys. If you need to know more, how many years have you been principal there?
4 years.
4 years, and right here at Joe Burns, you can talk to Megan Keys and give her all your questions. Anything else before we go? We're right here at the top of the hour here, wrapping up.
That's all. I appreciate
Awesome.
you having me
Oh,
today.
my pleasure, and thank you, Jim, for setting all this up. Jim Bellis
Yeah.
is the one who got all this together, and it has been very informative. I learned something every time one of you principals sit down, even though it's not my school. Y'all,
Right.
y'all help me understand how the stuff works. So
Yes.
be part of our district. If you want to check out what's going on with Robertson County Schools, just go to Robertson County School site and just look at career opportunities from lunchroom to maintenance to buses to teaching assistants. Do you have any like assistant positions, anything like that? Do you have any openings right
We
now?
do not.
Okay, wow.
We are
There you go.
full.
There you go. Unless you want to work at Joe's
Great
Burns, they're
place
full.
to be.
There you go. People are not leaving. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. You too. God bless you. And she's got to get on down the road to school. And as we're wrapping it up, guys, I just want to remind you that we got great program. We've got Sean Elmore is going to be on tomorrow, and she says maybe bringing a special guest. So we're going to look forward to that. And just look forward to talking to you more and more. I'm going to continue to tease the fact we got Bernard Farms coming on here. They're going to be officially on starting in April. We're going to start with talking to them every week, kind of talking about what's going on. I reached out to Julie yesterday from Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market, and they're working on pork right now. So get by their market. It is a lot of fun. It's just a cool place to go and check out, and we're so excited to add them to our list of sponsors here at 1100 WSGI. If you want to be one, you can reach out to me, 615-594-7736, 615-594-7736. And I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Again, this is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.
One street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I have today.
Time is filled with swift transition.